right, welcome into the Questionable Podcast. You got Scotty Questions here with Meko.
What's good, man?
And Gionne.
Great to be back.
Welcome back, Gionne. Where did you go? Where were you? How have you been?
I've been great. I missed out. It was an exciting time. It was an unfortunate time to be away because you guys seemed like you had a blast on Luke's show, and then last week you got talked about all the stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Right, you were big. Before. Yeah, you were a big part of the show last week at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Right? We kind of needed you there. It's okay. Mm-hmm. You're here now.
Yeah, I'm here now.
You can get your punches in a little bit, I think. So we're gonna address that in a second. But please follow, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to our YouTube. Still trying to push that out. Thank you for all of those that do subscribe. And again, we're excited to get into this today. Excited to have Gionne back. And so we're going to start with a quick Father's Day is coming up this weekend. So happy pre-Father's Day to all of those fathers, Meko, and fathers to be, Gionne. And also, we're going to show Big Larry's gift right here. Magic Johnson, 33, signed Magic Johnson, won that at the Sheriff Golf outing this weekend. So Big Larry is going to get that. He's going to have to get that framed. I will not do that for him.
I was going to say, that's a nice gift. You can't just kind of have that lounging around.
Yeah, but it's just getting stuff framed it's not cheap. And I love my dad a lot, but I think he can get that framed.
I'm sure he could.
Also,
if we're talking about other holidays, this also is pre-Juneteenth, so that's also up Sunday as well.
Awesome, thank you, Meko, for that. Appreciate that. So sorry about that. I feel like I missed out on that.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean,
no.
Again, Juneteenth is something that's getting more and more notoriety. It's not like one of those holidays that has been nationally recognized for so many years. So it's quote unquote a new holiday, on as far as national recognition. But I mean, it's a good one to kind of spread awareness and make people aware of just another opportunity to learn more about Black history and, the impact that it's had on this country. So
I don't think Meko will be with us next week. He's going to be traveling. So can we have some notes then next week? I'd love to address that and talk about it, if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, anytime we can draw some awareness to things that go a little overlooked in this country, I think that'd be a good opportunity to do that. There's plenty of good information that you can find out, and I'm sure you guys can dive into it next week. Absolutely.
I would love to. So we'll work on that. So thank you. That's awesome. On top of that, too, Stanley Cup Finals is going to start. It's the Colorado Avalanche against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is, very interesting. Also, because of that, the Game Over shirts that we did for DMAC, that documentary is going to air on ESPN nationally in between Game 1 and Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That starts tomorrow, so that should air on Thursday. So everybody check out the Game Over stuff. We're going to promote that. And check out the documentary on ESPN. It's from the teaser I saw. It's going to be really cool, really detailed about what happened when Claude Lemieux hit Chris Draper and then the ensuing rivalry for years back and forth. Yeah, Meko?
I was going to say, no, there actually will be a link in the description. Obviously, we're recording this right now, but when we post it, there will be a link in the description for the entire Game Over collection. We actually have 2 unique designs that are up on the website. So you have a couple options. Then obviously you can get it in either the t-shirt form like Scotty has. We also have it in a hoodie form. And so, you got a couple options if you're looking to rep the Game Over swag.
Yeah, we're excited about that. We've been doing a lot more stuff with Darren, a lot more opportunities. He's got a grinder event, right? He's got the band back together. They're playing in 2 days, Thursday in Marysville. They're going to have a bunch of people there. We're really excited about all this going on. There's tons going on right now. So again, thank you for all of those that follow, for all of those that have bought a piece, thinking about buying a piece, whatever, that follow us on Instagram, social. We appreciate all of it. So again, if you need anything, reach out. We will try and make anything happen for all of our customers. Anybody need anything. So anyway, having said that, right? Gionne's back. Gionne. Okay, so you're back. We're going to catch up with Gionne for a second here. So we talked last week on how drunk are you on the Lions Kool-Aid, right? Basically, I needed an Uber home. Meko's basically the designated driver, like he said, right? So he's got to drive me home enough. But I told him last week that John's the one who gets me by the end of preseason, right?
Yeah.
On the Kool-Aid, right? So so Meko's saying like John's the guy to throw like one more shot, and I'm like, in real life, no, but in this case, yes, every time, all these little things. So anyway, so John, we missed you. So I just wanted to bring this back up, make sure you got, a couple of things out. I didn't know what you're thinking, how you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I am. So I'm not a big drinker, but so if I say my level, it might be misleading. Because I'm definitely feeling buzzed. I'm definitely buzzed. Like
That's what I said, right?
Yeah, I'm buzzed. I broke the seal, and I'm
You broke the seal early. Oh no.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, some of your messages make me feel like you're like just over buzz, like you're a little past buzz, but you still feel like no, I'm just buzzed, and it's like,
well, so like the problem is I suffer from
Right.
like immediacy bias. So like when I'm watching the media availability, like I watched the media availability with Kelvin Shepherd today, the linebacker coach, and I was like, I think I texted you guys immediately. So, dude, when Aaron Glenn's gone, AP's getting promoted, Calvin Shepherd's the next DC, like, and just like, yeah. So when I'm watching it, when I'm consuming that media, I'm hammered, and then the YouTube video ends, and I just kind of go out about my day, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can still function, but
so it sounds more like you're a little bit of a lightweight, like you just like
yes, abs.
It's almost more like a contact high.
I don't know, because because the audience doesn't get the privilege of being in these group texts, but like John does go like on a good
He does
dive into like why he believes and why he's so excited, and it's like it's so funny because it does remind me so much of somebody that's like, man, it was just one clip though, like it is just like that was one shot and you're this deep in the barrel already, like
one shot, but it was on an empty stomach, Meko. It was on an empty stomach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or it's like somebody that's not like he's getting doubles of everything. Like every shot he's taking, it's like, hey, you should probably just take one of those, and it's like, no, give me a triple, and it's just like, all right, you're gonna just take all that to the head, huh?
No, I think lightweight is a more apt analogy because it's far more fitting in real life as well. So
yeah.
So I think let's go with lightweight. But part of it is also that like when I met my wife, I was like, I'm not really a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh great, me neither. And
I remember.
And then and then that's like kind of right around when like Scott really got me into like fantasy football. And I kind of started going down and like I became a much bigger thing. And then when the Lions hired Patricia, I was very excited about it. I was one of those. I bought in. I was like, oh, if you're going to hire someone, hiring someone from the most successful NFL franchise of the last half century is a savvy move. Like on paper, that all looked really great. And I was one of the, and then the draft picks started coming in and, to Bob Quinn's credit, he drafted offensive linemen very well. He drafted overall offense. Okay. There were some big question marks there, but overall, he hit on Galladay. He drafted Ragnow. I think and Jackson.
And Jackson and Swift.
Yeah. So offense, he was okay. He was just abysmal at drafting defense. But I was still kind of. You can say that.
You started finding out that paper, that like everything looked good on paper, and then you realize like, wait, this is all written in crayon.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like that. Yeah, it's like that girl who's like great on paper, and then you go on that date, and there's just like, oh wait,
like somebody filled this out for you, huh?
Yeah. But like, and so I was, but like at this point, I was so emotionally invested that when the Lions lost, it was ruining my Sunday. Like my entire day was shot. And for those that may need to be reminded, I'm on the West Coast. The games start at 10 a.m. here. They're done by 1. So like when I say my day's ruined, like it's not from 4 p.m. to like dinner. It's like the whole day.
1 p.m. to like 8 p.m. at night. You're just still fuming.
Yes.
And I'm like, I was like bitter and like didn't want to. And so my wife was like, you need to either stop like watching football or figure out how to like dissociate. And that's what I did. So I think
mad.
So I think that's what so I figured out like how to just not get emotionally invested. And so I'm not, but then I think that's where that comes from, is like, but when I'm watching those videos, when I'm watching the games, it like, that's when I like allow myself to be like a little kid. Sure. Just like get so excited. Because like once the game's over, I like mentally, like I flip a switch and like that's done. And that's the Lions, and it's a lot of fun and it's great. And I love it, but there's literally an entire day left that I need to either do things I got to do or things that I want to do. So it was.
So having said that,
healthier balance now
inside the den draft episode. Ooh. I'm gonna tee this up for Gionne to knock it down. So, okay. So having said that, how drunk were you how hammered were you during the den?
Oh man,
were you blackout? Like,
did
Meko and Scott have to come find you and drag you out of the bed? Like how?
Yes, I was like, I was so blackout that like you as friends, if I passed out in your living room and you guys picked me up and put me in the bathtub because you were afraid I was going to lose bladder control. And so like that, it was that.
I like out. So I finished. So I finished watching it because I watched it along with our friends over at Pride of Detroit. They were live streaming it on Twitch, or they were reacting to it live on Twitch, and I watched it with them. And as soon as it ended, I was like, when John finally gets to see this, he's gonna be like the meme from South Park where the dad is just like
when he discovers that there's porn on the internet.
Yeah, and he's just like, and it's just everywhere on the wall. I'm like, this is going to be John
pretty much
in front of his laptop. It is just going to be like Rachel's going to come home and be like, what the hell happened in here?
It was inside the den. It was inside the den. Yeah. No, they did a fantastic job. Like immediately when because like I knew it came out at like what 8 p.m.
Yeah,
like some like last Tuesday, Wednesday or something. So like I watched it the next morning, but I saw on the Lions sub and from Twitter that it had come out, and I had no idea it was 52 minutes. So I went to watch it, and I just saw the timestamp. And I was like, oh shit, yes, strap in because
bring out the Jergens.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's a double whammy there.
They did such a great job. I think what surprised me the most about it was seemingly, now I know it's edited and they wanted, like, the purpose of that video is hype, but it really does seem like they were quite high on Kirby Joseph, which was surprising to me.
Yeah, I think that was very telling as well. I think the thing that's most telling, the thing that I took away most from that entire episode was like Brad Holmes isn't just good at drafting. Like, he's not just good at picking players. He has a very good like pulse, like finger on the pulse of how a draft is going to flow. Right? Because like it came to the Kirby Joseph pick and they were like running down the list of like, you said Hutch would be here and he was. You said Pascal would be here and he was. You were saying that Kirby Joseph would like, they didn't think he would necessarily be there, but you were like, hey, we could potentially get him too. And like for all of that to kind of play out the way it did, is kind of crazy. The same thing. Oh, I forgot Jameson as well, right? Like they kind of like had the idea that they would be able to get up and get Jameson as well. it's exciting to know that, like, again, that you have a GM that doesn't just seem to like draft well, but like has an actual like sense on how a draft is going to flow. Obviously, we got to see like how these guys turn out once they actually like get on the field and games start getting played. But that's at least reassuring if you're a team like the Lions going forward. Like, hey, at least we have a guy in charge that knows how, like, has a really good understanding on how to build a team and understands where players are going to be and has a good understanding of where talent lies in a draft class.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I feel like that tracks from the last years inside the den after the draft that they did too, when I feel like something very similar happened there too, where Campbell had a little moment with Holmes and was like, "Oh, this person was here, and you said they would be."
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought of it in those terms, though. One thing I said to Scott, though, when we spoke last week, that really, and I feel like this was similar to last year. You know, Campbell. It was after the first 3 picks, Hutchinson, Williams, Pascal. And there was this little moment between Campbell and Holmes. They were both sitting down. They were probably waiting for their next pick in one of those long stretches. And I'm pretty sure Campbell looked to Holmes and he said something along the lines of, those 3 players, he's like, that was literally our dream scenario.
Right? Yeah.
Like we like that was our, like, pasted on the board, our dream scenario were these 3 guys, and that's who we just got.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, like, to your point, I think you're only able to pull that off if you have like an intuitive sense of the flow of the draft.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite part was Randall L. coming in. That's all I need.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'll leave you alone the rest of the night.
The rest of the draft. Bye.
Yeah,
He came in. So Randall L is the wide receiver coach, and after the line traded up for Jameson Williams, he, like, you could hear him in the hallways, and then he popped his head in. It was awesome. That was great. I mean, so the Kirby thing, Meko, to your point, I was super impressed with all of this is our combine interviews, right? And how much they take into account the personality of the interview and the person. They all were saying the same thing of how much they love football and they watch tape.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. It was the ease of the response of like, okay, that's true. Where people are like, yeah, I watch tape. But then they took them through scenarios and you could tell if somebody didn't watch tape. Right. So Kirby Joseph, to me, I told this to John. I don't think I told this to you, is Kirby Joseph. He looked like he was like this the whole time. Like a true safety. He was looking everywhere, like the entire time. Like, dude was ready to jump at something. I'm like, okay. And then he also broke down this tape real fast. And to me, the most interesting part of that was Kirby Joseph, like that, and Pascal.
Yeah.
Both of those guys were like, wow, like Pascal, like that's a leader. That's a real football player. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
for sure he could, I mean, like, he has to watch tape and doing what he does. I get it. But Pascal, and Kirby were the surprises to me. I mean, really, Kirby was really a surprise. He knew they showed it too, of him like breaking down this one play, like boom, 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 boom. Like, this is what's happening. And this is where I want to be. And where do I need to be better? And he was honest about, like, I need to be better about hitting people because I don't want to get hurt. Like, I know I go in because he goes in crazy. I was watching his like tape. I'm like, how's that going to work in the NFL? You're going to kill yourself.
Well,
these are Kirby balls. These are not college players, right? There's no give in the NFL. That's what I worry about with these guys.
Kirby's a unique case because, again, if you listen to coaches talk about him, and again, some of the talk about Kirby is like that he needs to clean up his tackling. He needs to clean up like his ability to play in traffic, because for the most part, Kirby's relatively new to the safety position. I think he's only played safety for 2 years. Prior to that, he was playing wide receiver, which explains why he's so good at catching the ball and getting turnovers. But that's the one thing. John was talking about watching the interview with Kelvin Shepherd. There's an interview that they have, or there's a media session with the Lions safety coach. I can't remember his name, is kind of slipping me at the moment, but he talks about the one thing that you love about Kirby is that, like, he's naturally instinctive and his ability to play sideline to sideline is something like it's a great base to start with. So while he still may need to learn like the actual nuances of the position, at least from like a simple standpoint, like if the Lions had to go into a game and they told Kirby like, hey, we just need you to play deep safety and just don't get beat over the top. It sounds like they have enough confidence in him, at least right now, that he would be able to do that thing well. The problem is, we've talked about this plenty of times and it's out there. The
Right.
Lions ask their safeties to do way more than that. And that's why Kirby probably won't see the field a lot this year, barring any injuries, is because he has to learn the other stuff. He has to be able to play well in man in an event that they ask him to play man. He has to learn how to blitz. He needs to learn how to tackle better. And those are going to be the areas of development for him going forward.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite answers. Aaron Glenn actually asked him that exact question. He said, "Would you prefer to play box or deep safety?" And without hesitation, he said deep. And Glenn said, "Why?" And he said, and he just kind of got this smile on his face, and he's like, I love seeing the ball in the. He's like, just let me see the ball in the air because I'll go get it.
And that's kind of what the safety coach said today as well. Like, or in that media session was like, one thing they've been able to see from Kirby in minicamp so far is anytime the ball is in the air and he's on the field, like it's possibly his.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that comes like the being a receiver. I think he just, and you said about the instincts. And I think one of the guys said in the Inside the Den is that his ability to read a defense is quite advanced. For someone who's only been playing a year. Again, that's a big caveat. But you'd certainly like it. You'd like them to be saying those things in tandem with his athleticism and his ability to, if the ball's in the air, he's got a shot at getting it.
This is a great player to have with this coaching staff, dude, to teach him what they like for our system. Like he could dominate our system and what we want to do and be exactly like they can mold him a little bit. Right. I just think that I think Kirby was a steal. I mean, there's a couple steals, but like Kirby falling to where it fell, like you saw it Inside the Den. They were like, what? The Colts had the pick right before, right? Am I correct? The Colts had the pick before.
Cross, I think.
They
picked. Yeah. I mean, the thing. So
we got him, and they were as excited as they were with Jameson and Aiden. Like this draft worked out from what I saw exactly how they were praying it would work out.
So I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here because I think like again, like the good thing of it is, again, it seems like Brad Holmes has a very good like understanding and feel for how drafts are going to unfold. The thing that's a little concerning is like, so they got Kirby in the third, and there were people who thought Kirby would go in the third round. Like it becomes a little concerning to me, not overly concerned, but it becomes a little concerning when you hear Brad Holmes talk about like, hey, if Pascal had been gone, right? If Baltimore or somebody had picked Pascal, they would have took Kirby in the second. Like that to me is like that's not trust. Like to me, that's now you're not trusting your gut, right? Like now you're being reactive a little. And I wonder so far, I mean, again, so far his instincts have played out very, very well for Brad Holmes, but I think it's a certain like cautionary tale at some point. Like, will this one day bite the Lions in the butt with Brad Holmes falling in love with players maybe too early or falling too much in love with certain players to where he's not maybe necessarily paying attention to the board? Not saying that he's not, but like that's the only like kind of like concerning thing is like when you're talking about like, well, hey, this was our dream scenario. These were our guys. This was who we determined. It's just like, well, there were some other good players on the board though. Like there were plenty of great players on the board that I think the Lions would have been just as good off having over Kirby Joseph in the second round. Yeah, but especially a guy that still needs to develop. Like we're saying, like Kirby's going to need to develop. He is absolutely the type of player this coaching staff wants and needs. But like I said, I don't think any of us really expect him to play a big role this year, which works out as a third round pick.
I agree with you, Meko, but we don't have to deal with that because they got Pascal, right? Like, so it worked out. But yes, I understand your concern in regards to that. Thankfully, it all worked out. So, but what we're going to have to see again, right, is we're going to have to see this season, right? Don't we have to wait this entire season to see where these guys fall and if it works? I mean, let's say there are injuries and Kirby does step up, or he's not and he can't. I mean, that's right. We're back to the Okuda conversation a little bit. And
well, I think we're just like it's like I said, I hate to say concerning. It's just if there is a chink in the armor of Brad Holmes as a GM, it's that he gets antsy and that like he falls in love with guys, and then it's like, but does he? As long as he seems to keep the guys in the room that can keep him at bay, he looks like he won't, overdo things. But I mean, we heard this last year as well, right? Like there were times where he thought about trading up. I think it was for Levi. I think he wanted to trade back into the first round to get Levi, and but he needed again his supporting cast in the room to kind of be like, no, trust that he'll be there. This is the second year in a row where we're kind of getting that kind of vibe from Brad Holmes, where it's like he has a good instinct, but like if things start to not really go his way, it seems like he gets a little antsy. He gets a little antsy, and he might bite on something that he probably shouldn't.
That's fair. I'll give you that. Yeah, I get that sense, but things have worked out his way so far, right? So I think he's gotten a little lucky then, maybe.
I mean, I think, like I said, I think the big thing is that he's trusting the other people in the room, right? Like I think to John's point, like when it came to, I believe it was Kirby. It may have been Pascal, but I believe it was Kirby, where they were like, "Hey, he's going to be there. He's going to be there."
It was both of them. It was
right. It was like this whole
both of them. That's why the inside the den was so long. It's like,
but it's like it's that whole idea. Like you have enough guys in the room that are like, "Hey, we don't have to do anything ridiculous. He's going to be there. Trust it. Trust the process." To steal a 76ers, slogan, but like trust that everything's going to work out. Like we're going to get the guys that we need to get, and I think Brad Holmes, as long as he never gets like a ridiculous ego or anything crazy like that, like I think the Lions will be in good shape, because it definitely seems like he's a guy that will, if he was left to his own devices, he would gamble a little more than he probably should.
And to that point, that's why they built the team they have, to save him from himself, right? Meko, you save me from me. John, you save me from like, that's why you surround yourself. You surround yourself with people like the tribe to protect each other from themselves. I mean, that's why I do believe, right, that the coaching staff and what they've built is something special. And to watch this, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes on the same page, they're together, not different locations. Everyone's in the room, right? You got guys in that room too that have experience and outside the room, like guiding them, right? Dan Campbell, sound like Dan Campbell is relying on a lot of people's opinions. He's got to make the decision, but again, to your point, Meko, yes, he's a first-time GM, but again, I think that I can give him the benefit of the doubt from what I've seen, what we've seen, how they react, what's going on, the team's reaction, the coach's reaction, each individual team, individual category, right? Their reaction, they were all happy. It seems like Brad Holmes really delivered something to everybody this season, right? All like the offense, defense.
Well, no, and that's why I said, like, I think he just needs to continue to. I think it's like I said. I think that is just, again, as I think, because I do think as a fan base, like we tend to like gush all over, Brad Holmes, and almost in a sense, even though they haven't won a lot, we feel like, oh, we have the perfect GM head coach pairing, and I think it's just me as a fan being like, hey, it's not all. Like it's not a perfect suit of armor, right? There are some blemishes when it comes to Brad Holmes, and if there is one, like that's probably the most noticeable one right now for me, is just that like he tends to fall in love with guys a little early, and and he kind of like once he falls in love with those guys, he sticks with those guys.
And Jared Goff.
And so you start to wonder, like, again, like you're saying, right now it's working out, and so there's not like a reason to panic. But again, if there was ever a reason where this whole like suit of armor fell apart, I think it would be like that would be the reason where he falls in love with the wrong guy and makes the wrong gamble, and for some reason it sets a lot of things back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with it. I agree. I think that's fair. John, like, what do you have any additional thoughts? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like looking for something. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not there, because he certainly does get table poundingly excited. But I think, yeah, I don't know, because it just seems like, not condemning, but like criticize, or like a criticism for something that never happened, kind of a thing. Because the board fell the way it did.
Right.
And or it's like a criticism based on a future hypothetical. And I think while that concern maybe, maybe it is true that, that like he is sort of reined in by those around him. Yeah, I don't know. It just has yet to,
But I think that's Meko's
like,
point. He's just saying that's a concern to watch, right? Which is fair. I think that's totally fair. It's something to watch. And if Brad Holmes does, like, if these guys pop off this year and then next year he gets a little ego and he goes crazy, that's totally fair, right? I mean, there's a chance of that. But I don't think we're there, right? And we can all agree, like, it fell the way it did. He got Pascal. They all fell. But I think to Meko's point, like, there was a chance where if Pascal he wasn't there, they're going to take Kirby there. Then it's a problem. Right? Take Kirby in the second. And so I get it, but.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's to John's point, like, yes, it is a hypothetical, but it doesn't mean that like that blemish doesn't exist, right?
Sure.
The hypothetical of picking Kirby at 46, yes, is a hypothetical. But the reality is that he actually said that, right? Like, oh, we were going to pick Kirby at, like, if Pascal wasn't there, we were going to take Kirby. Like, wait, what? Like, that's a huge jump up your list.
To me, that's a blemish of the editing department for the Detroit Lions. That's
I mean, right? At least
like, why would you post that? Like, just don't post that. Like, just cut that part out. Like, you guys are editing all this to the nines, and I want to give credit to the Detroit Lions and their video team, their
media
team, and their writing team. Are you kidding me?
Dude,
those
HBO is
amazing.
HBO is gonna have some competition because we get inside the den, and so
imagine what imagine what inside the den's gonna get inside the HBO Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
I hope they do that. I hope they can do that. Honestly,
they're following around the HBO crew, and it gets like one step removed meta. Like,
right? Totally love that. Back to the Future.
One thing that Inside the Den really did, and I told you, Scott, was, and maybe the commenters can let us know below, is I think before the draft for months we had this conversation, this ongoing discussion about, what does this culture mean? What does culture mean to these guys? Like, what do culture fits? What does that look like? And I think, again, now we have two full drafts, and especially with all of the behind the scenes footage from their pro days, from the combine, I think we can really get an idea of what these guys are looking for, of what Holmes and Campbell are looking for in prioritizing athleticism. I mean, Kirby Joseph is a fantastic example of, you don't really need to be dominant at a position if they think, if you show the traits, the intelligence, and the willingness to put in the work, then you're one of their guys. I think you heard this again and again and again. You love ball.
Right. That's a t-shirt.
Love ball. And I think it also comes down to, like, because I think that means that they are therefore they're going to have a strong work ethic. Because you saw Jameson Williams, like, Stoneface, draft night, first media appearance, he had a football in his hands, couldn't stop smiling. the grass beneath his feet, football in his hands, and he was a different person, like visibly, just energetic, like smiling. It was really impressive, and I think so. Love ball. That kind of translates to work ethic, and I think Holmes said it a bunch of times. We're looking for dogs out there, and so I think that just like loves football, dog, and character. Because I think you look at Pascal. I think a lot of the guys they really it really seems like
Leadership.
emphasized kind of or at least an ability to hold oneself accountable. That seemed like a thing that they asked a lot of the guys, and maybe it's a standard question. I don't know, but like with Kirby Joseph, like why did you do what you did in this play? And I think they showed, like when Jamison Williams was breaking down tape, like why did you move this way, or why did you do this thing that you did? And their answers obviously satisfied the coaching staff. So I think
Jamison's was awesome. Where he was like, "Man, this is how I play football."
Yeah,
right. It was awesome. Okay, so
sorry, Scott. One last thing.
Yep. Okay,
watch the media availability with Randall L. I think it was from yesterday. One of the people, one of the guys asked him about him poking his head in the draft night, and I guess Randall had not seen the episode because he immediately busts out laughing. He's like, "Oh man, they were recording when I did that."
Yes, they're recording the whole room. Yeah,
and it's like just, but again, like we've talked about it, just the personalities and like letting these, as long as you're doing your job, you can be who you want to be.
Correct.
And I think that's a huge thing. But yeah, I just had to throw that in. So
no, I didn't know that. That's amazing. I'll watch that. So thanks for that. So John, to your point of holding oneself accountable for the players, we're talking culture and I think also on top of that, not only themselves, right? With Pascal as a leader, you have to hold others accountable, but in the correct way, right? You can't hold them, be a dick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so in high school, I didn't drink in high school, right? So I was the captain of the soccer team and I didn't drink. And so all the guys went out drinking, they came back hungover and they didn't play well. I'm like, you fucking idiots, excuse me, you idiots, like, we're here to play and win a championship, right? So I'm good, but I wasn't treating it the right way. I learned that. And then in college, right, when guys do that, it's like, okay, guys, like 2 days before, it's a different way of handling it. So leadership comes a responsibility, not only for yourself, right, to prove and lead, but you have to hold others accountable. So I think part of it too is finding players that have the confidence and the talent enough to be able to hold others accountable. I think Aiden Hutchinson can hold others accountable. I think Jamison Williams can hold others accountable based on their talent, if they can do that. I mean, based on what we see, like, I think that also Pascal, like, I think that they can not only hold themselves accountable, but holding others, right? And that, to me, building a culture is everyone holding themselves accountable. Also the coaches, coaching for each, like my wide receiver coach, my head coach, like, there are gonna be moments where they don't agree, but how they work it out is how this culture is going to work out.
Yeah.
Right now we're building it and it's all good and it's all rainbows right now because we're all trying to get there to winning. When we get to the high stress pressure situations, there will be times, and this is where Dan Campbell comes in, where he's going to have to sort it out and he's going to have to be the guy. I think he is the guy. How does he handle that though? What does that look like? We're not there yet. But we are moving in that direction. So the best part of all this is we're talking about it, right? In my opinion, we're talking about it. We're talking about what it's going to look like, right? So the good thing is they can prepare building blocks, and in my opinion, this will help us get there. So I think, John, yes, to your point, yes, themselves accountable, holding others accountable. I think the biggest thing from inside the den that I love was the combine interviews. And seeing these guys break down tape and all the guys they picked. I mean, obviously it selects of the combine, right? Not any mistakes they made, which I'm sure there are mistakes. We're human, but all of the guys, every single response. That's why they put him in there. It was the coolest thing to see. Like, wow, like they didn't put that in there last year. They didn't put any combine interviews in there last year, right?
Yeah, I think they had like a couple of the like one-on-one interviews. So like obviously we had like the clip of Aiden when he came into the building, but because I think of COVID last year, like nobody was allowed to do that. So like I remember us seeing like the clip of like Panay, right? Like when they were talking to Panay via Zoom and like breaking down stuff with him. But yeah, like it's exciting to get a firsthand look at what these coaches are talking about when they're like, oh, well, this is what we loved about this player. And at least like having like some visual evidence of it, so it doesn't sound so much like coach speak, right? Because everything sounds like coach speak, but then when you can actually see a little bit of insight, be like, oh no, like they loved this when, you know, or this is what he said, or this is how he carried himself. And so you can kind of see the things that the coaches and the scouts saw that made them, you know, fall in love with this player outside of the stuff that they did on the field.
Yeah, well, I want to go back to what Scott said about like holding yourself account, like the accountability thing, because I think it's a great point. And I think one way that they do that, and what those the interviews showed, and I think what 1 week of or 2 weeks, 2 rounds of OTAs have shown, is that type of leadership is that Aiden Hutchinson, Pascal, Malcolm Rodriguez, Kirby Joseph, like they're not. That leadership isn't like telling people what to do. It's just, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to work my ass off. Yeah. And you can either work your ass off with me, and that's great, and we'll bond over that, or not, and that's fine too. But I think that's what I think I meant by personal accountability, is like they just, you know, case in point, Jamison Williams answered, that's just how I play ball. Like that's how I play the game. And so I think they're going to go out there and do their thing. And you're going to either, those teammates, those people fighting for roster spot, or the other teammates are either going to meet them at that level or they're not. Like, you know, I think at this time last year, St. Brown was, you know, he did the entire day and then stayed and then did 300 catches on the jugs machine after OTAs every single day, because that's just who he is. And I think, so I think it's like, that's what that means, is that I'm going to show you, I'm not going to tell you who I am, I'm going to show you who I am.
Well, yeah, I think to that point, like the Lions talk a lot about, you know, wanting to create and keep a competitive environment. And I think the best way of doing that is when you have a bunch of guys that are all, to use John's words, that are always holding themselves to a high standard, who are always holding themselves accountable. So when there's constant pressure from the guy ahead of you, or from the guy next to you, or from the guy that's like lower on the depth chart,
or the guy behind you, right? That's what I'm getting.
Then you feel like you have to show up every single day. You're not allowed to, or there's a direct threat on him. Well, if I don't perform this day, then so and so has a good chance of taking my spot. And obviously, like for certain positions, it's more, you know, realistic than others, right? Like,
yep.
Hank Fraley talked about, like, you know, like, well, you know, he tries to encourage, you know, the backup O lineman, like, hey, don't just be content with just competing, but like think that you can take one of these guys' jobs. Is that very likely? Probably not, right? Those 5 that are starting are studs, right?
Yeah. Yep.
3 of them have been Pro Bowlers. Like it's not likely, but again, if you continue to keep that level of environment where, you know, the 5 guys up front are going to compete every single day, well, then the guys that are behind them know, well, if I want a chance at starting, I have to not just match, but I have to exceed their performance. And then you go to like in a completely different position group, like the linebackers, where it's literally like a dog fight.
Yeah, it's
everybody in that room knows, well, like, hey, if Alex Anzalone sets this standard, but then Malcolm Rodriguez, being this young kid, comes in and he's just
can't wait to see what he can do.
You know,
I can't after this. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, hair on fire type of kid, or getting, you know, and he's getting praise from the coaches. Well, then, you know, if you're Jared Davis, Chris Board, Deion Hamilton, or like any of those other guys, like, well, hey, I gotta bring it too, because otherwise I'm not going to get a shot. So I think there are definitely, like, we're going to see some leaders emerge out of this draft class.
1000%. I hope so.
I think, I mean, again, I've already said it. My money's on Josh Pascal. I think he will be the kind of like Michael Brockers of this D line. Now, he may have some competition, because it sounds like Aleem has kind of taken that role on. Todd Walsh basically said that in his media availability the other day, where he's like he can see like this might be Aleem's room next year, which is crazy to think. Because Aleem, like that'll be Aleem's 3rd year, but like he's already like has that level of command. But I think, again, you have as many of those guys as you possibly need to be able to keep that level of competitiveness each and every day. So whether you're winning, losing, whatever, like there needs to be a consistent level of competition so that nobody ever reaches a certain level of complacency.
So, in Meko, to your point there, I always try and relate things to my experience.
Sure.
Just as far as like athletics go. And so the biggest thing to me in this regard this season, right after 2 drafts, right? I would say so in college when I went to college, we were one of the biggest recruiting classes. This is soccer, different, but 11. So there's 11 freshmen in college that we all got recruited and pulled in,
Sure.
and there was like 7 starters, right, that were freshmen that year. And so what we were doing, we were pushing kind of the old guys out, if you will, right? We were pushing them all out. But when that happened, some of the old guys were playing the best ball they ever played because they had to.
Sure.
And so the best thing I think about this is that these 2 new classes, and especially this class, is going to push DJ Chark, right? You don't think DJ Chark and like Reynolds, these guys are going to play for their lives a little bit? Like, I think this is a great opportunity for the coaching to see what they actually have based on this draft class. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out, because they drafted, I mean, all in all, leaders, right? In all positions, semi-leaders in all positions.
We have former captains in I think every position that they drafted.
Right.
Each of those guys were well, maybe except for Jamison Williams, but I don't know. But yeah, all of those guys were captains.
He's such an elite talent. Like,
Yeah.
he's gonna push everybody.
Well, I was gonna say, like Jamison
team.
is the exception, right? Like Jamison is
Correct.
probably the biggest lead by example guy out of this draft class. Like that's going to be the guy that who, whenever he touches the field, like it's going to be like, no, you watch him and you'll see why he's a leader in a different respect. Everybody else might be a little bit more on the vocal side.
So what I'm getting at is, and I get that, understand that, and all I'm saying, and I think you guys get it, and I'll say it one more time, but I think this draft in this recruiting class that will push for the future of the Lions, right? Like it's what's next. I mean, this, like, based off of this and how these guys fall in the line or whatever roles they have, right? Because we don't know. We need the whole season to get through it. But I mean, it could be, like we've talked about, like, the start of actually something special. If they can keep these guys together, if Rodriguez is that good, if he can be that good. I mean, all these guys, I just don't know. It reminds me, I keep going back to my freshman year of college and seeing, like, we were there and all these, like, get out of here, seniors. We're like, get out of here. We're busy. We know what we're doing. Because they're like, you don't know. It's like, no, we know. Go away. Bye. And then they were fighting back. It was just funny. You get a give and take, right? In the beginning of the season, it was a lot of friction. But by the end of the season, we were in the NCAA semifinals. Like, it was like, that's what can happen.
Sure.
When you get those young guys that they need a little bit of help, right, from the vets. And so maybe that's why Anzalone is here, right? They're keeping Anzalone around. I mean, he's not the best, but maybe he has some things and some guidance for the guys.
Well, because I think, like, to that point, some of these younger guys, right? Like from Kirby Joseph on, all of those guys. I mean, if you've listened to any of the coaches talk, like, or any of the coaches speak, like, they all have something to work on, right? Kirby needs to work on tackling and really learning how to play like a full, well-rounded safety position. You look at Malcolm Rodriguez, right? Like, as good as he looks mentally like he still needs to learn the nuances of the linebacker position because he's still like there are still things that he doesn't quite do right. So
Right.
there's still plenty of growth throughout this entire roster. So I don't know if I would necessarily say that like this draft class is going to necessarily have like a bigger impact than maybe even last draft class because I mean again those guys are still developing. I think what it does is that it lends itself to the realization that like the onus continues to have to be on this coaching staff. Can you guys really develop these guys? Every time you guys bring in guys that are that aren't well, again, none of these prospects are perfect, but again, each of these prospects that you bring in that have a little bit of of some development that needs to be done, are you actually developing them? Are they actually getting better or are they stuck where they are when you first got them?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we lost Gionne. Internet down. I think internet down. Man down. Man down. It's okay.
That's that's technology these days, man.
It's part of the game. It's part of the game. It's all good. So, but having said that, I'd like to get Gionne back on because we need to get into the battle royale here, right, Meko?
Well, yeah, I think like this topic really lends itself
Let's tee this
to
up so when he gets back, I can hit him with it.
well, yeah, because I think everything that we were just talking about with this draft class, honestly, kind of lends itself to our next topic as far as what it's going to take. What it's going to take for this Lions team to be, you know, better next year. And I think a lot of it, like we were just saying, I think there's a lot of stuff that yes, we can put a little bit of onus on the players, but I think it's really going to be really dependent on the coaches to really prove themselves and prove that like, hey, they actually know what they're doing, that they're actually developing these guys. So that's kind of like again, like my big focus of this team and of this coaching staff kind of going forward when it comes to these young guys.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I get it. I'm curious. I think that I'm just really excited, right? I'm excited to see him. Excited to see how this plays out, right? I mean, this is their second year. I think they drafted well. They got who they wanted, right? I think the biggest thing at the end of the day, as we wrap up this inside the den, they got everybody they wanted, right? Period. That's what it sounded like. That's what I saw. They got everyone they wanted. So you got everyone you wanted. Now, Jared Goff, you're up.
Right? Well, not just Jared Goff, right? I think
everybody.
Well, no, I was gonna say. Well, I wasn't gonna say everybody. I was gonna say Dan Campbell. Like Dan, you're up.
Dan's up. Should he be on the list? Gionne's back now. We can talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it. So Bleacher Report had an article a couple days ago where they had a list of coaches who they felt have the most to prove this upcoming season. Now that was literally like the qualification. They just have the most to prove. Not saying that anybody's getting fired, not saying that anybody's on a hot seat. It's just these coaches have a lot to prove in this upcoming season. And when I came across it,
who's on the list?
Well, before I get to that, like when I came across it, I did like I glanced at the list and
sorry,
you know, some of the coaches that like first showed up, I was like, okay, I kind of expect this. These are some coaches that I would expect to kind of see. But then there was one name on the list that I was like, that's an interesting one. And once that name was on the list, I was like, well, somebody's missing from this list. So, Scotty, you asked the question, who's all on this list?
If I had the crime scene clip, I'd play it.
Yeah. So the coaches that are on this list include Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
Cliff Kingsbury of the Arizona Cardinals. Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Robert Saleh of the New York Jets. And finally, Josh McDaniels of the Las Vegas Raiders. Those were the 5 coaches with the most to prove. And when I saw it, I sent it to you guys, and I basically just had a simple question. I was just like, hey, should Dan Campbell be on this list?
So who goes first? Rock, paper, scissors, John? Okay. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, Shoot. Okay, you go.
No, I get to
Skizzlers.
pick.
Really?
No, I get to pick. You
Scissors?
go.
Who does scissors? Who does scissors first? I should have rock.
Avalanche, baby. No, no, I had a college roommate who got like super into rock paper scissors, and there's actually like it's like
there's odds. Yeah.
rpssociety.com, and like there are strategies, and like they all have names, and the 2 out of 3 is if you 3 rocks in a row is called the avalanche.
Oh wow.
Okay, so wait, real quick. No, we're gonna totally tangent. What's the play? Rock, paper, scissors for our listeners. What's the play? Like, if you got to play, what's the best odds first?
Well, that's the whole thing that RPS is about, is that you don't play the RPS, you play the person. It's a total mind game. Like, so
you know I was going paper?
No, I just kind of, no, it was just, I just threw something. I was just instinct.
I
think it was just
I was going to go rock. If anything, Scotty Questions going rock. No, but so I did paper.
Oh,
and you did scissors, and you were just not even paying attention.
Yourself because you thought
I'm more mad now because he wasn't even paying attention to me. Now I'm pissed.
God,
I want to do 2 out of 3 now. No, 2 out of 3. We're going right now. We're all ready. We're 2 out of 3. Ready, go. Doing it. Ready?
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Sorry. Okay, we gotta start. Well, you're just bobbing your hand up and down.
We did. So we tied the first one.
Move your hand back. Like, I feel like it's just so close to the candy. Okay, there you go. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
That's 2 out of 3.
It's me.
John wins.
It's bullshit.
So, for people who are listening, I'm sure that was riveting.
I thought that was a new set of rock, paper, scissors, but I guess we're over. It's
no,
fine.
you said you said best 2 out of 3.
And
that usually picks up also.
I'm not a good loser. It's fine. Oh shit.
No, so
I don't care. I'm swearing. Sorry for those kids out there.
I don't think Campbell belonged on that list, because as soon as I started reading it, it read, I know it was titled Coaches with the Most to Prove, but once you kind of dug in, it really did start reading like a quasi hot seat. And I don't think Campbell's there yet. I think he is in year 2 of a 5-year contract. He had Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, Jeff Okuda, Romeo Okwara, DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, just to name a few, out for the majority of the season. Maybe not Swift, but in and out of injury. I mean, we were starting backups to the backups at a certain point. I think after this season, regardless of how it goes, if all of our wildest, if Luke G is right and we win 12, then he's going to have the most to prove next year. I think if we underperform, I think he's on this list next year.
Okay, so you're qualifying it, which is fair.
But I just don't think he's on it this year.
That's fine. I believe he is on it this year. I mean, they won 3 games, right? He's got to prove, the culture's turned around, but can they win the games? Like he has to get it together. And is he calling the offensive plays? Is he so he's got so much to figure out. To me, in my opinion, he has to prove it this year that they can win games. If they don't win games, if they win another 3-4 games, that's a real problem. Like they can have the best culture in the world. But I think to Meko has this point, and he keeps bringing it up. John, to your and my demise, really annoys me. I don't like it. But that's maybe why I'm here, because I've been beaten over the head with it from Meko. Is like he's got to win some games, right? So that's fine, but he has a lot to prove, right? They've changed the culture. Congratulations, you did it. It is epically clear you've changed the culture. Well, what now? You got to win the games. So we have to do it. He's got to keep people healthy. And if he doesn't, he's got to have the guys, to win. And so I think they have it, right? I think that we can do it. I think we can get 7 wins. I do think that, like, that's my gauge. I think we're all kind of there, at least 7, right? We should be around there. 6, 7, or 8. Like, come on. 6 to 8. Anything under, I mean, even 6 is generous. But I really think he's got a ton to prove. They got Robert Salah on this list. I mean, they had 4 wins last year, and Robert Salah's on the list. I don't understand. I just don't understand why he's not being talked about in this regard. Like, I just wonder why that's the case, right? Like,
so yeah, and I mean that was kind of my standpoint, right? Like when I saw Robert Salah on the list, I was like, well, Dan's got to be on this list.
He's got to be there. He's got to be. What
Dan's got to be on this list because you're coming out of a draft where again people are saying that you got the best offensive and defensive player out of the draft. You went out and you got a former Pro Bowl wide receiver, right? You went out there and you kept your defensive coordinator. You added some more pieces on your defense. Guys are coming back healthy. There is a level of expectation that, yes, you got to come out here and prove that you can win more than 3 games. Injury or no injury, right? Like, I get it. The Lions dealt with those injuries and they were meaningful and definitely, had some impact on how the season went. However, that can't be the scapegoat every season, right? Like, at some point in time, that's why I say, like, it goes back to these coaches of like, okay, so what happened last year. You like, if that's the worst case scenario, that exists. You need to make sure that guy 3, 4, and 5 on the depth chart can help you win games. They don't have to be world beaters, but they have to be able to plug and play and make an impact. Right. And that all fairly or unfairly falls on Dan Campbell's shoulders, because if you're not preparing the entire roster and if you're only top heavy, well, then you're going to struggle, because this is a physical game and guys are going to get hurt and guys are going to be banged up and occasionally guys are going to need to sit out a game or two, and you got to be able to reload. And so when I look at that and I look at, again, you're coming into a season where you're going to have one of the easier schedules. You're healthy. You're more than likely going to be healthy from the start. You got some new pieces. You got, an offensive coordinator that seems to gel well with your quarterback. You have something to prove, maybe not in the same breath as what Todd Bowles, Josh McDaniels, and Cliff Kingsbury necessarily have to prove. Those guys need to prove that they can get to a Super Bowl. That's the proof in the pudding that those guys have to kind of show. You need to prove, to Scott's point, that you're more than just coach speak and culture. Like, as much as we all love the culture stuff, we all love that they're picking guys that they seem to love and that are a fit and all of these things. But I think we all have to admit as well, it means nothing if they come out and win only 3 to 4 games again. That means nothing. Right? Great. Everybody's singing Kumbaya in the locker room and nobody can get a stop on 3rd down.
Right.
Yeah. Or nobody can nobody can, help advance the football. Now, granted, yes, there are nuances. There are definitely things that could shape this thing in a certain way, right? Your quarterback going down or your quarterback playing poorly. Yes, that's not necessarily Dan's fault, but if Jared's healthy and he's not playing well and he's not executing the offense well, the first thing that's going to be looked at is, well, who's calling the plays and who picked the OC? Dan did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where we're at. And that's the thing, right? We're so close, John, right? We felt like we've been so close before, but we haven't crossed that threshold, right? It's like, even me, like we've talked about, right? In what I'm working on in my personal life, right? I'm so close, but you got to cross that line, right? Personally, you have to cross the line. You have to get there. You have to do it. And so I think we're waiting and we're hoping this is the year they can do that, cross that line. Because if they can, I think after that, anything's possible. I think anything is possible this year. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but if they can get 7, 8, 9, 10 wins, I think they cross that line to have the opportunity to build off of that, right? We're building off 3, right?
Right.
So I think that he should have been on the list, and I think he'll crush the list. Honestly, I think he'll crush the list, in my opinion. But I think he should have been on the list.
I think I think ultimately, like if Dan Campbell had been on this list, I wouldn't have looked at this list and be like, oh, well, that's not fair. I'm like, no, that's absolutely fair. You absolutely should be, because again, it's a matter of what you have to prove. And what Dan Campbell needs to prove is that he can win more than 3 games, that he can actually, and to a small extent, he kind of proved it, right? He proved it in small doses at the end of the season, and he showed it in glimpses in other games where they were close, but they just didn't put up enough points, right? He showed that he can coach. So he's not proving that he can coach. We know he can coach, but we need him to prove that he can coach winning football games, that he can win actual games, and especially games that maybe you're not supposed to win.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Consistently.
That's all fair.
I'm hip. Name that movie.
Austin Powers. Original Austin Powers.
Jinx. Yes. Good.
Really?
Gionne. The Hendrix. Sorry, I had to get it in. I was trying to find a reason. Anyways, yeah.
So this all kind of brings me back to 2 things that I wish I was there for last week and with Luke G.
Oh,
the only thing I'll have to say about the Okudah discussion is that when
what was the Okudah discussion? Can you just
last week?
Yes, but for our listeners right now, if they didn't listen last week,
no, forget that. Go back and listen.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
slowing the show down, Scotty.
Let's go back and watch that. We have a whole catalog of episodes. Pause, go back and watch it, and then come back.
Is that a lot of the knocks on him when first season, when it was clearly, when people were clearly disappointed that he was picked 3rd round and he wasn't producing, and the big discussion was, well, it takes a long time for the cornerbacks to adjust, and he's literally in his first game, I think like his first NFL game, he was asked to play man coverage against Devontae Adams when under a defensive system that like did not believe in sacking the quarterback. So like Devontae Adams had like 7 seconds to just run around. And so I think that context is important. But what the shoot, did I just lose it? Oh, so what a lot of the people were saying was that his most outstanding season at Ohio State was when Ohio State had pretty much the best defensive line in the NCAA. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh, well, he was only good because the defensive line was doing so much work up front that he didn't have to work as hard. And that's why you don't draft 1-year wonders. And that's why you don't draft cornerbacks that have one good year with an outstanding, D line. And that was the reasoning. And okay, I disagree, because all of the other extenuating circumstances I just talked about with Patricia, just play man against literally the best receiver in the league and just cover him for 7 seconds. That said, you have now recreated the circumstances whereby Okudah had his best season. Like, the D line is now a strength instead of a weakness. I mean, now, again, on paper, hopefully we'll really see how it shakes up. But with all the reports with both Aleem and Levi being quote unquote significantly stronger, to quote the coaches, and with the addition of Pascal, Hutchinson, I think Jared Davis is going to be on that line rushing the quarterback. So now the quarterback has far less time, and you've now recreated the circumstances whereby Okudah was at his best. And so I think it really does all just depend on that Achilles and whether or not he can return to form. I saw someone, one of the coaches who's the Pleasant, said that he was staying that Okuda was staying for the third week of OTAs, which is just the rookies, just the rookies to like work with them and either help them out or just get in the work himself, because I think he needs the rehab. Just I think he needs as much practice playing at NFL level, NFL speed as he can. But that was really the only thing I wanted to add to that Jeff Okuda discussion. I think you guys did hit all the angles, but that was one that strengthening the D-line, and that was the biggest knock against him when he wasn't doing well.
John, I think you're right there. I think that's a good point. And I also want to point out that's the same situation for Jared Goff this year, right? They talked to him before the draft. They're trying to recreate the best season Jared Goff had, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Todd Gurley and that run game. And I guess Swift came in like jacked this year.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, and he came in like, and who was it? Deuce saying like somebody gave Swift the baby oil, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When he was like, stop telling him that. Like he already thinks he's like the guy. But like,
yeah, but to this point of like Jared Goff, like they're trying to put like we've said, it's almost like the Lions are the place for every player to come and heal, right? Which is great and grow from that. So Jared Goff, they're trying to recreate his most successful season and giving him the pieces around him that he had when it was Cooks, right? Meko, I think you said that it was Cooks that was there. They had Gurley, they had this
Cup was still, I think, was on the team. I think Robert Woods was on the team. So like
they had all of these opportunities. It was a lot of play action, and Jared Goff was really good off of really good play action. So we can recreate that, right? And again, Swift, before Swift got injured last season, didn't he have like the most passes of any running back? I think he was leading the league in
receptions.
Sorry,
I think
receptions. Yeah. Thank you, Meko.
Yeah, I think he was leading running backs in receptions, and I think to your point, before he got hurt, I think he was coming off of like back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yep.
So like he was absolutely like piling on the production. It becomes a matter of can he stay healthy, or even if it's not necessarily staying healthy, can he play through the stuff that like isn't worth sitting out? Because like that's a direct challenge from Deuce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey,
correct. You
got to play through some stuff. You're a running back. You're going to get dinged up. You're going to be a little sore. You're going to be a little, maybe a little hobbled at times. But like if you can still do something, right? If you can still go out there and catch and play in the slot, or if you can still run up the middle, like, hey, this offense, I think stressing that to DeAndre more. This offense needs you.
Which is really why he came back stronger, right? It sounds like he came back bigger a little bit. As long as he can stay as fast as he and quick as he is, like that would be the key. But like maybe that's what I mean. He put on a couple pounds. I mean, like we've talked about with all the rookies coming in, right? Mm-hmm. You're like Aiden Hutchins said, you're going to be going up against brick walls. It's not college yet. Like they are much bigger and stronger, than you're used to. And that's why I worry about all these rookies and all these guys, like the tackles that I saw in all their highlights. That's awesome. You're going in head first, but these guys don't move like college kids move.
Well, I think that's why it's so important that he's going up against Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker every single day. And to your point about like guys coming back stronger, but
there's been no pads yet. There's been no pads yet, right?
Yeah, but still, like, someone said it might have been Fraley, but said that Sewell, or it might have like Taylor Decker, I think it might have been, said that Penei Sewell came back again, direct quote, significantly stronger, which is so scary because as a rookie, he went toe to toe with Aaron Donald.
He was one-handing Aaron Donald,
and
no.
And then so they asked the follow at Penei's media availability. They asked him a follow up. He said you were significantly stronger. Can you comment on that? And he said, yeah. So, my training regimen last year was entirely geared and revolved around producing the best numbers at the combine, which is very speed dependent. So 3-cone, 40. So all of my training was getting me, lean and fast. And now that I've got a team, I've settled in, I can focus on, producing a body type that is conducive to performing best as a tackle. And so that meant a lot of just raw strength training, and which is just insane.
Also scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said this in our group text, like as far as like things that are going to get me excited pre regular season, like hearing how the battles between the O line and D line go, how those are shaking out is going to give me a really good indication of like what I think this defensive line, like what this Lions team will be like, come first game against the Eagles, because we've talked about it here plenty of times. We've like exhausted it. Like we all kind of feel like this O line is like top 5, maybe even top 3 level of offensive line in the NFL. So if you can get your defense going up against that caliber of guys week in, week out, I mean, we're talking about the edge guys, right? About Pascal and Hutchinson going up against Sewell and Decker. But what about Aleem and Levi going up against Frank and Jonah and Big V in the middle, right? Like that constant battle. I think, again, Todd Wash, I think, mentioned it like, like Aleem and Frank are already, right? No pads, already jarring at each other, which is crazy to think about because Frank seems like such a quiet, like both guys really. Frank and Aleem both seem like such mild-mannered guys, but like,
yeah,
that is going to be a really good indicator of how this defense is going to go, because we're talking about a defense that is also going through a little bit of a philosophy shift, and they're going to be more attacking. So what does that look like? How much pressure does that put on this offensive line? And does it make them better? Obviously, like the number one thing is like, again, hoping that we can just get to week 1 with like as many of these guys healthy as we possibly can. But like, you want to hear about those battles, and hopefully it is a good amount of give and take, right? Aleem's winning some, Aleem's, maybe Frank's winning a couple. Same thing with Taylor and Panay. Like, hopefully they're winning some. Hopefully they're hopefully Aiden's winning his share as well. But that's a huge measuring stick, in my opinion, for this team going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to read. Where hopefully we can get Jeremy on at some point in before the preseason to kind of help us break down what he saw in a lot of these battles, in maybe like early August or something. We can try and get him back on, because I feel like I think that's what he does best, is he kind of breaks down. It's one thing to say this player had a good day, but to Meko, to your point, like, is Hutchinson winning more than he's losing? If he's losing more than he's winning, well, yeah, he's going one-on-one against Panay Sewell like every single time. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to reading his writing on that.
Right. So, guys, I think we covered a lot today. Right.
I would like to share one quick story.
Yes, please.
From the event I went to last Tuesday. This is why I was at a
your red carpet event.
It was a networking event. But
okay, you were networking on a yacht outside of Monaco, is what I heard. So you were there. So it was a Mission Impossible thing, I think, right, for the launch, or was it for Maverick? I'm sorry, I can't keep track. It was Maverick. No, Maverick's already. So it was the Mission Impossible. Anyway, go ahead.
No, it was just a little networking thing. But one of the composers there was from Maryland, and he's only out visiting for like a month, taking a couple meetings, and he lives in Maryland. And so we got to talking, and he's like, "Oh, where are you from?" And because no one in LA is from LA. So you just ask, "Oh, where are you from?" And so I said Detroit. And he goes, "Oh, are you a Lions fan?" And I said, "I'm absolutely a Lions fan." And he goes, he said, hold on, I wrote it down in the text for you guys, but this random dude from Maryland, knew Dan Campbell. And he just said, well, he was a Commanders. He made like his
I was going to ask, is he a Maryland fan? Who's he? So,
he was a Commanders. He's like, man, he's like, I would give anything to have your head coach. And he's like, it's it's got to be so easy for you to be a Lions fan right now. And I said, I got to say, the future looks bright. But kind of like to all of our discussions about the culture, all of our discussions about team identity, what is it? And Scott, I think you've said this multiple times. It's Dan Campbell. I mean, I think that's just the proof, that's just the proof that if some random ass dude from Maryland is like, man, I wish we had your head coach. I mean, that's got to be a first. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I'm almost 40.
I think it's safe to say. I think it's safe to say that Dan Campbell is definitely the face of Detroit sports right now.
It's very true. Mm-hmm.
Which is like odd because I think it's been a while since a head coach was the face of at least of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
In general, right? I mean, when was the last time a head coach was? Well,
I mean, Bill Belichick is literally the face of the New England Patriots. Like they could literally swap out that dude for his face in a hoodie and like,
yeah.
Right, but I guess to your point, Meko, when the Wings were good, it wasn't like Babcock was the.
But I mean, Bowman is closer, but like even then, it was Iserman. It was Iserman, and it was Fedorov, Iserman. It was the Russian Fox.
Yeah, it was Russian.
It wasn't Bowman.
It wasn't Bowman, right? Like the fact that Dan Campbell is that's very interesting. So, all right, Maryland guy.
Well, and then plus, with the Pistons, like it was Rip Hamilton, it was Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace. It wasn't Doc Brown.
Rashid.
Tayshaun Prince. Oh, that's one of my greatest basketball memories is seeing Tayshaun as a rookie shut down Kobe Bryant in the finals. That was so great. But anyway, I digress.
Oh, that's it, man. John, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tayshaun was like in like year 3 or 2.
Was he? I thought he was like a rookie.
No, I don't think he was young, but I don't think it was a rookie.
Okay.
Only reason I know is because I think that was like Darko's rookie year.
Oh my gosh, Darko, best draft pick ever.
That's the only reason I know that.
Insane. Yeah, talk about falling in love with the guy.
Yeah. Let's wrap up this podcast so I can get that disgusting thought out.
Well, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie with Adam Sandler called Hustle, it's on Netflix. That was actually pretty good. I guess Adam Sandler worked with LeBron. It was a basketball movie.
Was Darko in it?
No.
What made you like make that connect? Basketball?
With just basketball. Kind of just do more basketball research and trying to, I don't watch a ton of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so this popped up. And so the movie, it was about, so Adam Sandler is basically he worked for the 76ers as a scout and finding these guys, and the owner listened to him, and then the owner dies. And anyway, no spoilers, but the son takes over, and it's obviously a problem for him. So, but anyway, it was actually really good. And Adam Sandler being a scout, imagine that. I mean, it was pretty interesting. So, I don't know, John, what made me think about that? I think Darko, because it wasn't Darko, but guy looked like Darko. Anyways,
the guy is a foreign player. Yeah, I know that much. Like in the movie.
Right. So anyways, so that's it. So anyway, all right. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Long podcast. I thought that's a good one, guys. So thank you.
Man.
Anyway, please, again, like, follow, subscribe. Continue to give us notes. Tell us you don't like it. Tell us you love it. We don't mind. It's all good. Stick with us. I want to thank everybody. I want to wish everybody a pre-Father's Day. So everybody out there, happy pre-Father's Day. First, to wish you happy Father's Day. Again, I want to thank my wife, my daughter, my family, the crew, everybody that's viewing, listening, everybody that's been a part of this. We appreciate all of you guys. Please watch the Darren McCarty Avs versus Red Wings documentary that's coming out. The Avs are in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Steve Yzerman built that team. Side note, if they win, they'll be one of 4 teams that have won 3 Stanley Cups in a row. I believe that's the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Islanders. Last team to do it was the Islanders in the 80s. This would be the 4th if they did it. So again, history potential in the making for the Tampa Bay Lightning. This would only be the third Stanley Cup ever for the Avs. So anyway, side note, I don't like them.
That's an impressive stat. I never would have guessed that. I would have thought they'd have had way more.
No, as far as I know, based on what I've heard, right, from ESPN over here, it would be the Avalanche's third Stanley Cup overall. But this would be, but if the Tampa Bay Lightning again won 3 in a row, they would be the 4th team to ever do it in the history of the NHL, which is crazy. So anyway, so tune into the Stanley Cup Finals. Playoff hockey is awesome, and again, the DMAC documentary. So Avs versus Red Wings, the punch, the hit, everything, the game over stuff's going to be on there. You know, everything we do for DMAC. We support those guys and the Red Wings and everybody, but keep your eyes up for that. That'll be really awesome. The teaser we saw is going to be great. So anyway, thank you everybody. Meko?
Yeah, definitely. I thank my wife. Got to thank my daughters. My oldest just graduated from 5th grade, so congratulations to her. Huge thanks to you guys. And
You did it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't understand why they have graduation for 5th graders, but you know, it is what it is. But no, huge thank you to everybody that supports us. Again, anybody that, if you comment, if you like, if you are subscribed to us, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you guys engaging with us and, you know, allowing us to be a part of your day. So yeah, thank you.
Gionne?
Yeah, thanks to everyone, my wife, again, mother-in-law, my dad. It's Father's Day is coming up.
Dr. Tom, diagnosis.
Yeah, mom and sister, and just everyone in my life who's making a positive contribution or a negative one, because you know we all grow from it.
Right.
The process.
Don't hate.
Yes.
Got him.
Got him. So yeah, thanks everyone.
All right, you guys, appreciate it. And this is the Questionable Podcast. Out.